Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of With Conviction, a story of hope, horror, and history. My name is Rain, my pronouns are she, her, and I will be your GM for this adventure. With me are my hopeful heroes for this campaign. Why don't you all introduce yourselves?
Hi there, I'm Alice. I play Desdemona Hartwood. Both of us use she and they pronouns. Desdemona is our Roseheart guardian. She's a punky, gothy magical girl with a heart of pink and some cool wings.
I am Skylin. My pronouns are they and them, and I play Chris Whitlock, whose pronouns are she or any. Chris is our extremely sporty volleyball captain, magical not a girl, and is the firebrand artillery.
And I'm Rob. My pronouns are he, him, and I play Eliza, whose pronouns are she, her. Eliza is our fiery, stalwart soul warrior magical girl, and I have updated her character sheet to change her age to 19.
Indeed, because today is your birthday, isn't it?
It is.
And you are. It's an interesting way to start your 19th birthday because it's kind of a gray, foggy day. And appropriately enough, to my understanding, you are, in fact, alone this time in the gully
Mm-hmm.
because you had something you wanted to do, didn't you?
Yeah, and we see Eliza just standing in this sort of fog, and she looks around even though she can't see anyone, but it's like to check because she's never been here during the daytime before. But she walks over to the back hatch of her car and pulls it open, and she retrieves the cavalry saber.
Indeed, you've had to off-road it to get here, but you managed to make it. So yeah,
And Eliza steps forward a bit and, like tugging on a curtain, she pulls open the window into the gray.
it's the same as you've ever remembered it.
She steps in, pulls the gate mostly closed behind her, just leaving a couple inches wide of hole, enough for cell signal to get through if she needs it. And without really any hesitation, she transforms the whole hand on heart, burned down to skeleton, and her new form. As she does that, her jetpack pops open, and she just jumps up to the rim of the gully.
You can see dark, swirling dots in the sky above. It seems like there's more patrolling than there was last time.
And that's why she doesn't decide to fly. But now that she's thinking about it, she doesn't have a solid way to navigate in here, and she doesn't know where the camp is. She spends a moment staring at the spire, comparing its shape to how it was before. And she thinks she has an idea of which direction she needs to go. Lacking any better ideas, she's gonna head that way and see what happens.
All right, roll me a navigation check. If you have any skills like survival or.
Unless you're gonna let me add finding patterns, no.
Hmm.
Here's one. So this whole thing of being stealthy, heading somewhere you're not supposed to go, and also having to find your way with no reference points or prep. Will you let me roll break and enter?
What are you breaking?
She's breaking into a dimension she's not welcome in.
Oh my god.
Listen, it has been something like 30 episodes and I have not rolled break and enter yet.
I'm so sorry. Uh,
You can say no.
yeah, I'm not convinced. That is definitely more about getting into like buildings and
Okay, well, I just did a flat roll and it's a 9, so.
Okay, yeah. Paying attention to the tiles that you pass through, you're able to get a decent guess of where the camp might be. You're able to avoid the patrols overhead and eventually get to a new camp this time, but you do arrive at the camp.
Eliza, with her wings unfolded, steps into the camp, expecting to be recognized, is she?
Mm-hmm.
She greets a couple of the soldiers and then nods, and she's already heading towards wherever Tilly is.
It's not hard to find her. You just look for the largest concentration of wounded soldiers.
She thinks about cauterizing wounds and then decides she doesn't know how to do that. So she's just going to stand respectfully until Tilly has a moment.
Yeah, she finishes working on the person that apparently somebody had a limb removed, and she is reattaching that.
Oh, she can reattach limbs.
She's very good at what she does. She's been here for a minute.
Right then.
She looks up at you and says, "Oh, oh, good. I was worried that you had been killed."
Eliza shakes her head and steps forward. My friends came close, but we're all right now.
Where are they? Do they need help?
No, they're back where we came from. They're doing all right. I had some questions for you.
Okay. Um, how can I assist?
Eliza looks at the soldiers and is just. I wanted to know about your abilities and where you learned about them.
Oh, well, after my husband was went to join the army, I followed him, and uh, it was after a battle. I saw some of those things prowling around, and I tried to fend them off, and well, this happened.
It was like that for me the first time.
Hmm. And so afterward, I just tried to help men who were wounded, and I tried to protect them from those scavengers, but, well, I thought they were scavengers at least, but not here at least, not anymore.
Eliza looks up.
The sky isn't so full of them here, otherwise this camp wouldn't be here. But it's easy to see them in the distance, going to and fro.
Some of them broke out of here and attacked a friend of mine. We killed them, and she's restored now.
What do you mean broke out of hell?
Eliza looks at the soldiers, does not want to explain this in front of them, waves Tilly over towards the edge of the camp.
She follows.
Tilly, I have some things to tell you that are going to be somewhat hard to believe.
What do you mean?
How long do you feel like you've been in here?
At this point, I don't know. I lost count. Years, maybe?
Years. 161 years.
Uh, she composes herself. Well,
I was born in the year 2006.
she seems to contemplate that for a moment and frowns and doesn't know what to say.
Think of it like a loop in a railroad track. a circle. When the railroad was built and it was just a loop at the end, it could be reached and left, and railroad cars could come and go. But now the tracks that led into it have been pulled up, and it's just stuck going in circles. Does that make sense?
I'm struggling, but I suppose all things are possible.
And, well, Eliza holds a little ball of fire in her hand. We're a long way past doubt by now, aren't we?
Uh, Indeed.
So I just wanted you to know that I don't know what's going to happen when we deal with this, because I have dealt with two places like this before. But they weren't old, they were fresh. They had just happened. And I think if they had lasted as long as this one had, they would be like this. When I dealt with them, they sort of just collapsed and returned to normal. And I'm hoping that when we deal with this, the same thing will happen, and it will send you back to your proper time.
Well, let us pray. But I. She seems to wrestle with something for a moment. Forgive me, I have to ask. The war. It ends?
In 1865, and I live in Winchester, Virginia, in the United States of America.
Oh,
Eliza smiles.
she gives a smile back.
I was hoping when I first learned that we would meet you that, I don't know, I could learn something about our magic from you, but I'm starting to get the sense that I might be able to teach you as much as you can teach me.
We are all trusted to learn in different ways, I suppose.
Mhm.
I admit I've wondered as much myself. I I wish I understood why we were the ones chosen.
I've always wondered that myself. And there's a common thread among my friends and myself, but I don't know if you fit into that thread, so I'm not sure if that's it.
She perks up for a moment, but then as you say that, she subsides again.
My parents wanted a son, so they raised me as one, even though I wasn't.
Oh, that's that seems cruel.
Hmm. And I thought that was the common thread with myself and my friends, but
No, I have not had that misfortune.
I'm glad for you then. There was something I thought. It would be very helpful if there was a way for us to find you every time, if we didn't have to wander. Eliza pats the cavalry saber at her hip. This is the rider's sword.
Uh, oh,
It was in our time, and one of the creatures that we fought said the rider needs his sword. But it's also how I get in here and how I get out.
oh,
And I was thinking, Eliza pulls the sword and sheath out of the loop on her hip, and she says, "A sword always needs a sheath." She pulls the sheath off of it and offers it to Tilly. I think if I use this, it will help me find you.
well, I suppose it's a way to learn. She accepts it.
So we'll try that next time. And I know that your powers won't be like mine. I'm not a healer. But can you teach me what you do anyway? There might be an underlying truth.
We should all be practiced in healing, regardless.
Oh, yeah, we definitely should. I'm looking at Eliza's character sheet and the -1 to render aid. And I feel like that's a good spot for that scene to cut off.
Indeed. That was pretty good. I really liked that. So I kind of want to give you courage for that. That was real good.
I'll take it. Now, what day off action should that end up as? Because I realized partway through, or after we did that, I'd kind of lost the plot of this needs to be a day off action.
That sounds like either a build friendship or a dig.
Well, here's the thing. If it's learning about the powers themselves, I was thinking it might be pet project.
Ooh, oh, that makes so much more sense.
Ooh.
Alright, one
That
moment.
makes a lot of sense. So you can roll, given what you are practicing with her, you can roll either finding patterns or render aid.
I think just for it to be appropriate, it has to be that -1 on render aid.
All right, here's your length of rope.
Watch you
Okay.
need your courage point right now.
Oh, that'll probably happen. All right. And for the audience at home, Pet Project reads, when you want to develop something like a tool, a social connection, or some sort of device, it's time to work on your pet project. Explain what you're attempting to create and roll 2d6, adding a skill relevant to your work. So the thing I'm attempting to create is an understanding of the underlying connection between Chosen's powers. Which I know is a big deal, and we're not going to do it successfully, but let's see. On a failure, you make no real progress, but get some insight into what needs to happen
Well,
next.
let's slow down. What did you roll?
Oh, I haven't rolled yet. Okay. All right. Well, I am spending that point of courage to turn it from a 5 into an 8.
Okay.
So it becomes a 7 with -1 from render aid, and that's a partial success.
On a partial success, you make significant progress toward your goal, but there are some impediments to overcome. Your project will be complete by the next day off, but you will need access to 2 of the following: time to focus, a friend with a hookup, specialized knowledge, expensive tools, or a risky deal.
All right. What do you think that's going to be?
Um, for me, I want to say time to focus, a friend with a hookup, or specialized knowledge. What do you think?
I think genuinely with how fundamental this connection is and what that would imply for the world that is being built here and one's understanding of it, I don't know. I think a risky deal might be appropriate.
I think risky deal and specialized knowledge, and I have an
Interesting.
idea for the form of specialized knowledge.
Okay, well, I have an idea for the risky deal, so why don't you go first?
I'm thinking Hazel has been doing all that reading on Manichaeism and black and white worldviews and such. And I think if Eliza talks to her about it, that might be the crucial piece.
Okay,
And what do you think the risky deal is?
well, I
Oh,
think
I know.
there's someone who knows some things that you don't quite trust,
Oh, no.
and they might be able to fill in some of the gaps.
Oh, no.
So I would like you to write this down so that you can try to pursue this in future scenes.
All right, hold on. All right, I'm writing.
Your 2 requirements are you spend some time talking about what Hazel has learned, and you try to find the librarian and strike a deal with him.
Oh, boy. All right, that is written down.
All right.
Read as that's not happening this season.
No. Yeah.
So, Des,
Yes.
you have some pieces to move into place.
Uh, yes. So it is Eliza's birthday. Um, she, I think I would have told her to be there close to like dinner time, so maybe like 6 or 7. And I guess this will require some coordination with Faith and Hazel as well. Are no, they can't come with Eliza. Well, maybe they can.
David points out, do you think that they could keep an eye on her and hang out with her at the time? For
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I just wanted to be sure that having them bring Eliza over here wouldn't read as suspicious. Um,
You did tell Eliza to come.
that's true, but I told her to come over to plan a birthday party. So if I have her over with other people, I guess it works. We're just overthinking, or me and Des are overthinking. Um, It's like, okay, I think that works. Everyone else should be getting here pretty soon. We've got the cake. We've got the snacks. Uh, Streamers are up. I think we've got everything.
I think so. All right. Oh, that is good timing, actually. And he looks up, and the first car pulls into the very long driveway. There's like a whole circular driveway up in front of the house where the pool house is. And over the next hour or so, people start filling that up.
God, this place is fancy.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and Rain, are there any other things that I need to put in play here?
I think you said you wanted to spend that experience that you had banked, right?
I'm back.
That's right. This is a great time to do that. Um, uh, Thank you. Yes. So I wanted to spend my one experience on picking up Guild. The way Guild works is that as long as I have at least 3 conviction, your magic reinforces, or my magic reinforces my defenses. So as long as I have at least 3 conviction, I take 1 less stress from everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
I hate you already.
Well, don't worry. I cleared my conviction. Okay, so I've at least got to work back up to it.
Yeah. So, describe to me how you see this party starting to spool up as people start to collect. People are meeting both outside and in the pool house and gathering into their groups. How do you see this going?
Yeah, so I think the big thing is it's supposed to be a surprise. So I think as much as possible, Des is trying to herd everyone into the pool house to be like, here's lots of snacks and whatnot, and we're gonna hide here. And when Eliza shows up, we're all gonna jump out and yell surprise and that kind of
You all
thing.
can park over there. She won't see that when she comes up over the hill.
I was thinking that.
Thank you. I was thinking about it, and I was just like, well, whatever. I was like, what can Des say as a lie to? I think pretty much everybody is here now except for Chris and the magical girl of the hour, Eliza.
Well, and Hazel and Faith. So, what are you and David talking about as you wait?
I'm trying to think of like what would be relatively private. Maybe what it is we
Well,
are
it's a loud room. Nobody's really going to be listening to you.
okay. All right. Yeah, I think I'm also underestimating the size of the pool house. Um,
Yeah, it's fairly spacious.
I've only seen one pool house before, and it was large enough for a pool table, and that's about it.
No, this has a little more square footage than that. Not
Okay.
like an entire crowd of people. There's no dance floor, but there's definitely enough for a couple of tables and some open room in the middle, and couches on the other side of the room, and the bar, and some bathrooms off next to one of the
And
doors.
bathrooms? Rain, you're describing like a $5,000 apartment in Los Angeles. Um,
Yeah.
uh,
Land is real estate is much cheaper in the valley than
I suppose that's true. Okay. I think yes. I think we've gotten everyone into the pool house, and we are off in a quiet corner, sort of like Des is kind of like taking in her handiwork. Everyone's here, chatting, but trying to be not crazy loud because
yeah.
again,
There's some music playing in the background.
yeah. I think they're off in the corner chatting, and Des is looking out over the assembled partygoers and going, um, thanks, Dad, for uh, being willing to do this for me and for Eliza.
He smiles. Well, I'm excited to meet her.
I think you'll like her. Um,
He
and
raises an eyebrow.
no, really, I, I, she's uh pretty nerdy, um, but also cares a lot about her friends and about me. Um, I I genuinely I think you're gonna like your dad.
You hear someone on the other side of the room. Hey, is that a costume? And you can hear the door go, and then somebody shouts, "Oh my God! Run! Run! Oh my!" And there's suddenly shouting, and you can hear something snarling from the door that leads to the pool, and suddenly people are running.
Okay, what is David doing?
David, this is literally the same second that you're hearing this. So
Okay,
he is turning to look. You can kind of see this happening all in slow motion.
okay. Can I get to the door and open it to see what's going on?
No, it's the door. Something is coming into the building.
Okay, man, this pool house is huge. Okay, so I can't see what it is.
There's a lot of people running in your direction. That's what you can see right now.
Okay. Des is gonna start trying to like push through the crowd a little to see if she can see what's going on.
I think David hooks an arm around you as you start going in that direction, and he pulls you to cover behind the bar. As people continue to stampede, you get a better glimpse at this thing that's coming from behind them. It's a little bit hard to make sense of what you're looking at. You can see a carapace of white geometric planes. You can see melted gold twisting out from under that armor. There's a faceless head swiveling, searching the room, and it seems to twitch and snarl as it looks around, and you see it dives onto somebody who is tripped and just starts tearing into them, and you can hear Tesserae shouting out.
Is it Tesserae being attacked?
Sounds like it.
I think Des is gonna try to like bolt upright to try and I think at this point she's not 100% certain what she wants to do here. She is scared, and also this bunch of random people and her dad. She can't transform here.
He's holding you tight. He's like, I've got you. It's okay. It's okay. And he peeks out from behind the bar, and he looks to the door, and looks like he's judging that distance. It's okay. I'm gonna keep you safe.
Des has been pretty freaked out by this. She knows that she can do something about this, but is also being here with her dad in this situation. She's scared and just feels like a little girl again. And
He's holding you tight.
yeah.
As the screams subside from a voice that you don't recognize, these angular planes that this body is made out of seem to soften and take on a slightly more humanoid shape, and you can see it stalk forward as somebody else scrambles and tries to run. It grabs them by the foot.
All of this kind of filtering in at the same time. Someone has been attacked, and her dad trying to help, trying to protect her. She has this moment of clarity that it isn't important what her powers make her look like. Right now she needs to protect these people, to protect her dad, because right now no one else is gonna be able to do that. And she stands up slowly.
He grabs you and pulls you back down.
She gives a weak smile and says, "Dad, you gotta let me go."
What? No, I'm not gonna lose. No, I can't let you go. It's not safe yet.
Dad, I I know. You feel like
He starts and looks back at you.
you lost me, right? Him? You, you didn't lose your son. He was unhappy and hated himself every day. And then he met me, and he didn't die. Dad, I found myself. I found me. He met me, Desdemona, and the the moment the moment I did, we couldn't be anything else, anyone else. So now I'm Desdemona, and I have a job to do. And I'm sorry, and I'll explain more in a second, but Dad, you have to let me go.
He's kind of overwhelmed and confused. That he definitely wasn't expecting that. And he's still holding on to you. And he looks back at that thing. And he looks to you, and then to the door, and back to you. You're gonna come back, right?
I'm back, Dad. I promise.
And he lets you go.
Des stands up, some tears in her eyes, and she stretches a little and hops over the bar and starts walking towards this monster, this creature of many planes. She sticks one arm out to her side and says, "For my friends." And in a flash of light and hearts, her arm transforms. She sticks the other arm out. "For my heart." Another flash. Now both arms are transformed and bright pink. She looks back at her dad and quietly says, "For my family." Her legs flash, transform. She turns back to the monster, and it's not quite a hop, but she seems to push herself off the ground, almost like she's floating. And she goes, "For everyone." And we get the actual full-on transformation sequence. She twirls in midair and holds her arms out where we see them flash, already transformed. We see her hair shimmer and turn bright pink. She leans back in midair and draws her legs up close to her where we see the same boots flash again. And finally, she draws all her limbs together over her heart, and we see concentric heart shapes shooting out from her chest before her full battle dress appears, bright pink and shooting hearts everywhere. Finally, we see her stand in midair, and we see her stained glass wings snap out behind her. And in a first, she yells, "Lovebird Ardent," as the transformation finishes. She lands and goes, "Right." She cracks her neck, and little hearts shoot out from where she had cracked her neck. And she goes, "So, I don't remember inviting you. I hope you at least brought a present." And she charges at the monster.
Excellent.
Should I make some rolls?
Well, first off, I want you to take courage.
Thank you.
Ooh, yeah.
Second off, there is one zone in this fight.
Excellent.
It is just the pool house.
Okay, so should I be rolling for this transform or?
Yes.
Okay. That is an 8 total.
All right. Which way are you shifting?
I think I'm gonna shift 1 towards light. So that's at a +1. And if you'll allow it, I'll go straight into ramming this thing with my shield.
I was just going to ask. Why don't you go ahead and make that fight roll?
Ooh, almost really bad. That is an 8 total with shield check added in.
All right. So it takes its first point of stress. It recoils and it is going to reach out and sort of slash at you. You can see these hands, which had looked vaguely human, sort of extend into long golden claws for a brief second, just long enough to slash, and then they retract back into what looks like a normal hand.
I fucking hate these descriptions, by the way.
Uh-huh.
This is horrible. Terrible.
Mm.
And it rolls a 3, so unfortunately it doesn't hit.
That's very on point for this though. I slam into it, I knock it a little off balance. It tries to attack, but misses.
It is in fact off balance now, yes.
There you go.
Okay, so an important question. Where are Chris and Eliza at this point?
You don't know.
Okay.
This one's on you.
Oh,
Okay. All right. Then let's see. Yeah. She's going to activate Goad, something that she's literally never used because she's always on the darkness track. So what it does is, if I protect myself, enemies take a penalty to their roll. equal to their current light when attacking friends in the same zone. But more importantly, on a partial success, you reduce incoming stress by 1.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna protect myself, thinking, oh, that is a 10. Awesome. So I am protected. Right now, I'm not particularly strong, Rain, so it's totally fine. But I can at least fly inside the pool house.
It's only 1 floor, so if you try.
I'll be Spider Des.
I guess that makes it my turn again.
That it does.
That's a little bit better. That's just barely a 7. So it lashes out at you, and again, those claws come out, 1, 2, and then its faceplate opens into a jaw that tries to bite down, and you catch it on your shield and sort of wrestle it and throw it to one side.
Yeah, so for Goad, the enemy's taking a penalty to their roll. That's only if they attack not me, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to be sure. All right. She's going to, after shoving the monster off, she kind of like dances backwards a little bit, dispels her shield, and was like, "Oh, kind of hoping for like a challenge." And she charges at the monster again, and right before her fist connects with it, the shield reappears, so she gets like a shield punch.
Amazing.
I will do another fight.
Go ahead and roll.
See, these are the rolls that I need. That is an 8 total.
All right. Yep. That is another point of stress as you just check this thing in the face and it staggers backwards. Actually, it would be a 9 because it was off balance.
Oh.
It staggers backwards and takes a second to reorient itself and then just fully goes berserk on you and is just hammering away trying to get past your shield. And that is actually a 10. So that one does hit and it deals 1 stress.
Okay. Love that. Hey, I have a question that I should have asked earlier. Can I pop emotionally vulnerable with a friend for my dad to give me a light trigger?
You know what? I think I'll give it to you. And you actually, as that claw rakes across your arm, and at not pink but light red blood spatters on the ground, you can actually hear him shout and move to rush in your direction.
Ooh, David?
Yes.
Oh God. Okay, yeah. If David is rushing out here to try and help, Des is going to re-protect herself. She tries to make her shield a little bigger so she can also try to shield David. That is 11 on
Yeah,
the dice.
that'll do it. Yeah. It's going to, seeing him attack, it is in fact going to attack David. And
Whatever it
remind
rolls,
me what?
-2.
-2. Okay, yeah. That bumps it down from a full success to a partial success.
Ugh. Well, not as good as I was hoping for, but we'll take what we can.
Yeah. So David takes a point of stress as this thing actually bites down into his shoulder. It looks like it's about to like bite deeper, but before it can really do a significant amount of harm, you come up behind it and just check it and knock it off of him. And you just see there's a moment between the two of you where he's staring at you wide-eyed, just acting entirely by reaction and not understanding what he's looking at.
I think after seeing that, she positions herself like between David and the monster. She walks towards the monster and sort of like punches one fist into her other hand and goes, "Leave my fucking dad alone!" And she swings in for another fist with the shield in front of it, going for like an uppercut. Ah, man, well, that's a 5. Oh wait,
You do have courage.
I do have courage. I think now is the time. So that will be with shield check, assuming you'll allow shield check.
It
That
makes
is a
sense.
7. Okay, cool.
So tell me how it almost goes wrong.
I think the monster tries to block the strike, and for a moment there's like it feels like the monster's going to keep the shield from really making contact, and then we get that a surge of uh, courage, and Des is able to push through into like a magical uppercut.
This uppercut drives into its chin, into its neck, and you lift this thing off of its feet, and it slams into the ceiling, falls back down onto the ground, and begins to melt. The gold seeps away, the white begins to crumble, and from behind you, Tesserae pulls herself to a sitting position.
Des breathes a sigh of relief and walks over to check on Tesserae real quick, since she got pretty badly mauled.
Physically, she seems okay, but she is kind of staring into the middle distance.
Okay, so this is something we have never, I think, officially codified, but each of us has a little minor magical gift that we get
Hmm.
even when not transformed, right?
Still wouldn't transform, but you do have, like, Eliza is good with fire.
Hmm.
Chris can manipulate the earth. How about you?
Um, I was actually referring to like Chris's enhanced eyesight. Um,
Yes. Okay, I'm following. Yes, you.
uh, okay, cool. Yeah, then I think I kneel down next to Tesserae and try to get like in her vision. Maybe subconsciously try to push harder on my aura of hope.
Roll with conviction, and as you do, what are you trying to accomplish here?
I'm trying to bring her back to a point where she can like take care of herself, sort of get her stabilized enough that we can get everyone taken care of here.
Yeah.
With my current conviction, that is a 10.
You lay your hand on her shoulder, and someone watching wouldn't necessarily know this is magical. But she starts for a moment.
And
um, what?
hey, I don't know if you remember me. I'm Desdemona. Uh, everything's
Uh,
okay.
Eliza's friend, right?
Eliza's friend. You do remember me.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, you
well,
invited me. That'd be hard to.
yeah, but she gestures down at her whole outfit. I look a little different. Um, so
I wasn't gonna say.
don't worry. Everything's been taken care of. Um, do you feel okay in your head? Maybe a weird question.
Um. I'm. I don't know what you mean by that. I'm kind of freaking out, but
Okay, that's a-okay. All I will need you to do is relax here, maybe have some chips and dip if any survived that whole thing. But regardless, I'll be back. And I think some more people will be here soon to make sure everybody here is safe and happy.
looking around, it seems like most people managed to get outside. There are a couple less cars here than there were a minute ago, but most people seem to have congregated outside. At this point, it's just you and David and Tesserae in here.
She turns to her dad and goes, Dad, I'm gonna take her back to the main house real quick. I'll be right back. She looks down at herself. I think we have some stuff to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
She slowly, gently lifts Tesserae up to her feet and pulls an arm around one shoulder and walks Tesserae back to the main house. Gets her situated and sitting, and once she's comfortable, heads back towards the pool house.
Are you still wearing all pink at this point?
Oh yeah, she is not detransformed.
Yeah, you definitely get some looks. Not as many as you expected, but you get a couple of looks. The art punks definitely are questioning that look.
No, why did I invite them? No, 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 it's totally fine. She
But David is waiting for you when you get
yeah,
back.
she walks by all these people, meets their eyes, smiles, reassures them that everything's fine. Some stuff just got out of hand, and one of the birthday surprises got a little weird, and tries to reassure them that they can relax. Honestly, she'd probably tell them to go home. But regardless, she walks back into the pool house. Where is David at the moment?
David is sitting on one of the couches. He doesn't seem to be bleeding too heavily. It seemed whatever it was you got to him before it got more than skin deep.
Excellent.
So he's just sitting there with his head in his hands.
She steps towards him, uses her wings to sort of like push herself over some of the debris, and lands next to him on the couch. Just looks over at him.
It takes him a bit to look up back at you.
Hi, Dad.
Hey, Des.
So, quite a few things for us to talk about, it would
He pulls
seem.
you into a hug. It's just a tight hug. He's just, thank you for coming back.
Pulled into like his shoulder. She's slightly muffled, goes, Of course, I promised. There's some tears at the edge of her eyes.
I have so many questions.
Well, I'm in I'm in the right spot. Dad, hit me. Hit me with those questions.
Um, what? What?
I assume you're referring to uh all this, and she sort of like gestures at her outfit.
I was more thinking about that. He gestures to where the thing disappeared. But also, yeah, that was on the list.
Mm, okay.
I thought you hated pink.
Um, I I feel like sometimes I can be a bit of a burden on you and mom, and there's so many stereotypes about girls like me. I I didn't want to be a stereotype. I I I don't mind pink, Dad. I didn't want people pointing and staring.
He pulls you into a hug again.
In the hug, she's like, also magic is real.
What? I mean, yes. What? I just
When she's released from the hug, um, she like opens her palm, and her shield appears above it and drops into it.
I was uh, again on the list. What?
Um, yeah, I don't really know how to explain that part. Uh,
Wait, is that why you've been wearing those contacts this whole time?
oh, um, okay, so I did lie a little bit. Um, that's just what my eyes look like now.
I'm sorry that you felt like you couldn't. I'm sorry that you couldn't trust me.
I want to trust you, Dad. I I don't always feel like I trust myself. I I hear you two arguing sometimes, talking about me.
He winces.
I know it's hard being my dad sometimes, but you know I'm happier now, right?
He nods. Sometimes it can be hard to tell, but maybe that's just what it's like with a teenager.
Yeah, I didn't even get through one puberty before starting another. Um, you get the teenage years twice.
Am I allowed to laugh at that?
Yeah, of course. Neither of you have really asked me questions about any of this. I mean, the magic thing, sure, but I don't know. It feels like you're constantly trying to step around it. You know, I notice when you call me kiddo or any variation thereof. It's not like I'm not mad, but it hurts a little because I know you're trying not to see me.
Is that? Sorry. I don't. I didn't realize that hurt so much. I'm not. I.
Do you know how high the rates of self-harm are amongst trans people?
Yeah. I've seen the numbers.
Do you know the biggest factor in whether or not that happens, especially in younger trans people like me.
Yeah. I didn't. Sorry, I didn't want to hurt you. I was just.
I know.
I'm.
I know.
I'm scared that I'm gonna say something that is just gonna push you away again. I don't want to lose you again.
She gives him this smile somewhere between like a smile and a sob. Tears at the edge of her eyes. I, I told you, Dad, you haven't lost me yet. I'm not going anywhere.
He hugs you again and then looks you over and says, well, I didn't think this was going to be the answer for why you keep getting hurt.
I'm sorry I didn't tell you. A part of me was embarrassed, ashamed. I would have had to transform to prove it to you, and I didn't I didn't want you to see me like this.
It's okay. You can be whoever you want to be, as long as you're under my roof. A car pulls up outside.
Can I tell whose car it is?
It looks like Eliza's.
Okay.
You can see 4 people piling out of it.
At this point, has pretty much everyone gone home,
It looks like it.
except for maybe Tesserae?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to ask, has Tesserae just been sitting there this entire conversation?
Tesseray's in the main house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, that would be crazy.
Tesseray just sitting here listening to the secrets of the universe being unraveled.
And also, like, deep gender stuff and all. It's just,
Tesserae's just in the corner, like nodding solemnly.
she's heading straight to the special brownies.
And Tesseray's like, no, I totally understand this. I have contemplated the deep mysteries. Anyway, so
so Eliza
you see
is here.
Eliza heading toward the pool house.
I think Des waves to Eliza, both with an arm and with a wing.
Eliza like, raises eyebrows as she recognizes Des is transformed right now.
She turns back to her dad and is like, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I think we can tackle that later. Those look like your friends?
Yeah. Excited to introduce you. She initiates the hug this time. Gives David a big hug. Tries to wrap her wings around him too.
Oh, that's new.
Aren't they cool?
They are very pretty.
She nuzzles into him and goes, "I love you, Dad."
I love you too, Des.
She pulls back, smiles up at him, and stands to walk over to Eliza and Hazel and Faith and Chris as well, or just those 3.
Yeah, Chris has not quite come in yet.
Okay.
So, Eliza, Des opens the door to the pool house. It's a bit of a scene.
She goes, "Surprise!"
You can see streamers and food that's been set up and food that's been knocked to the ground. And you can see what looks like a maybe a splash of fresh blood, and there's a big "Happy Birthday, Eliza" sign.
Eliza's first thing she says is, either the party has gone entirely wrong, or I've missed it.
So, funny story. This wasn't a planning session for your real birthday party. This was the birthday party. And then a monster showed up.
Huh. I thought we weren't going to have any more of them coming after us after we... And then Eliza looks past Des and recognizes David. And then looks at Des being all transformed and just... So, what's with the outfit?
It's okay.
Do you want me to tell them?
Eliza, do the fire thing.
Oh, okay. And Eliza just holds a ball of, at the moment, indigo fire and looks at David.
She's on the team, as it were. I'm not doing this alone.
It is at that point that Chris walks in.
Speaking of,
Oh,
this is Chris, and there's a very high chance that I know them very well.
he frowns.
But right now, I don't really know who they are, but they can do what we do.
Chris gives a thumbs up.
I have so many questions, but so is it all 5 of you?
Des turns to look at Faith and Hazel and points at Faith and goes, "No, she's not trans and she can't transform." And points at Hazel. "She's not allowed anywhere near this nonsense, okay?"
Hazel frowns.
Sorry, Hazel.
Eliza has at this point extinguished the fire and actually is just stepped out of the way of the door, and she's looking up at the sign that says "Happy Birthday, Eliza."
Yeah, let's focus on why we're here. Desdemona tells me it's your birthday.
And we see Eliza 1 year ago. Eliza is standing in an empty room, taking one last look around as she picks up a bag and turns around and heads out the door. And this house that she's in is just sterile and white. And she looks so uncomfortable here. Her facial structure is different. She might even be a couple inches taller than we're used to seeing her. Her hair is still short, but she has dyed it bright red by now. And she walks past 2 rooms. In one, a man in a button-up shirt is working at a desk at a computer, and he doesn't even look up at her. In the next, a woman in the living room is working on her own nails and looks up at Eliza and then quickly looks away. And Eliza walks out the front door to where Caddy is standing. And Eliza's car is waiting outside. And Caddy just takes Eliza's hand sadly and says, "Happy birthday, I guess." And Eliza closes the door to her family home for the last time. And then we see Eliza again back in the present, and there are just tears welling up in her eyes. And she's gasping. She just lets out this big, heavy sob and turns and wraps Des in a very tight hug.
Happy birthday, Eliza.
Thank you. She is so warm to the touch right now.
Sorry you missed the monster fight.
The what? Yeah.
I think Faith is the first one to make it into a group hug.
Excellent. Does like gestures for other people.
The camera pans to Chris expectantly, and she's hovering at the door.
Eliza looks up from where her face was like pressed against, I would say, Dez's shoulder, but oh yeah, it's Dez's shoulder, and she just looks up at Chris and gives an expectant wave, like "Get in here."
Rob, roll Read a Soul for me.
Oh boy. Ooh, that's a 6.
The best you can tell, Chris just looks uncertain. It takes her a second, and she walks slowly over and sort of takes the outside position on the group hug.
Des at this point is feeling pretty good overall. Doesn't hesitate. Pulls Chris tighter into the group hug.
Has Hazel gotten involved?
Yeah, Hazel is has joined on the outside of all this. There's only so many who can fit geometrically.
Currently surrounded by like 4 different friends. Eliza is just. Eventually, she just lets out a sigh and pulls her face away from Dez's shoulder. This is so much better than my last birthday. Thank you, everyone.
We have a cake, I think,
There's cake?
and food that's bad for you.
You know exactly what I want.
And as you all break up to go enjoy what food has survived, David isn't looking at all of you. David is looking at the person in the doorway who watched this happen. As your mother watches Eliza crying and you comforting her, and everyone who's been there to help Eliza through this moment. And I think that's a good place for us to end this episode.
Yes, please.
Oh,
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Thank you especially to my players. I look forward to seeing you all next time. Have a good night. Thank you again for joining us on this adventure. With Conviction is a production of Silver Maiden Games. If you would like to play Conviction, check out the game at silvermaidengames.itch.io. Music for the intro and outro of this podcast is A Soul with Conviction by Doom Vega, who you can find on Bandcamp. Music within the episodes is by Rachel Rose Mitchell, who you can find on Bandcamp and Spotify. All rights to the music are retained by their original artist. Production and editing are done by myself and the With Conviction cast. Thank you all. This would not be what it is without you. You can find this podcast on Spotify and YouTube or silvermaidengames.wordpress.com. You can also find more about the game, podcast, and ways to contact us at silvermaidengames.wordpress.com.